You're listening to an Anderson Entertainment production.
This episode,
the washing machine has gone berserk in Fab Facts.
Could we have some ice for the randomizer?
and Richard Taylor is excited about Thunderbirds.
He always is. What a nice chap. That's all coming up in Pod 162.
Of the exciting Gerry Anderson podcast.
I'm excited!
Let's get started. Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
The Gerry Anderson Podcast with Jamie Anderson and Richard James.
Oh, I'm so excited.
It is exciting, isn't it? It is.
Don't know what it is about 162, but it's really
I know.
got
It's
me,
just something exciting.
Salivating, or
Yeah,
in an
absolutely.
audio kind of a way. Anyway, so you've caught me, Jamie Anderson, audibly salivating right here
Yes.
on the Gerry Anderson podcast, and joining me
Don't switch off.
is that other man's voice who you can hear, and that is
Yes, I'm Richard James.
yeah. And
always
over-
have been, always will be.
Thankfully, we're very lucky that you remain, Richard James. Now, over there, out of earshot, but very,
thankfully.
very busy, is Chris Dale. And
Yeah.
today, I think he seems to be organising his rather enormous collection of Gerry Anderson-related pin badges.
Yes, I could see.
I think
Nice.
he's arranging them by... in alphabetical order,
Yeah, alphabetical
by the
order, yeah.
organisation that they
That's
belong
right.
to. So not by show.
I could see. No.
Goodness me. So that's pretty impressive.
That'll take him a while.
Yeah, well, he's got over 100 there, so good luck, Chris. But he's not even listening. He's just got his tongue out focusing on it. So he'll be joining us later on for his randomizer, where he randomly selects a random episode of a random Gerry Anderson show and randomly watches it and randomly says things about it.
Random.
It's randomly. It's the one of the most popular elements of this podcast. It will be coming up later. But before that, Richard James, what else we got?
Oh, well, we've got loads for Pod 162. We've got some Gerry Anderson news, of course. We've got... Now, I've lost count. Is it the first or second part of your interview with Robert Taylor?
Richard Taylor. Yes, it's the
I'll get it right in a minute.
It's the second part of my interview with Richard Taylor. I can't say his formal title because I said I was only able to say it once.
That's right, yes.
Yes, so it's the second part of that.
Good. What else? We've got Fab Facts, of course, coming up in a little while. And I have to say, we have a bumper crop of emails from our Podsterons to podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk. I've been hopping over to our Facebook group as well to see what's going on there. Ooh. And I'll be reading out some tweets because people have been hashtagging us, Gerry Anderson Podcast, tagging me, Richard N. James, him, I'm Jamie Anderson, and him over there, Chris Dalek. Mind your fingers on that pin badge, Chris.
That's a sharp
and they've
one.
also been hashtagging clammy ears.
Now, why was that? Remind me. I know I introduced it at the end of it. Oh, it was 1 ear or 2.
One ear or
Wasn't
two.
it? Yes, see, my right ear is currently dry. My left ear is already a little bit on the clammy side.
Yeah, too much information. What with that and your salivating at the beginning? We're trying to attract new listeners, Jamie.
Yeah, but they're already in now, so it's too late.
Fair enough.
If you're listening, I hope you're enjoying all of this Anderson weirdness. It does get less weird, I promise. In fact, one of the ways which keeps it not from getting too weird is Fab Facts.
Weird.
Now, time for this week's Fab Facts.
Yes, it's an exciting and slightly clammy Fab Facts. Well, I don't know, actually.
Yes.
We'll find out if it's going to be clammy. My ear certainly is. I've got a book of Fab Facts. That was it. I'm going to flick through the book of Fab Facts, and at a random point, Richard will shout Fab when I'll stop flicking, at which point we will land upon a fact which will hopefully be deemed Fab by you, our Podsteron listeners. Richard, are you ready for my flicking?
Born ready.
Good, because I'm ready for your fabbing. Here we go.
Fab! Oh!
See,
What happened there?
I flicked fast.
Yes.
But you fabbed fast too.
Yes, I see.
Which has landed us smack bang in the middle of the 1970s.
Love it.
And, well, I mean, I think universally, nothing of any importance happened in the mid 1970s, except for Space 1999.
Okay.
Many would
I'll go
disagree.
with that.
I think a lot of people listening to this podcast would absolutely agree. This Space 1999 fact concerns the Year 1 episode, Space Brain.
Ah, yes.
Now, as I'm sure you remember, Richard James, Space Brain is the episode that guest stars the late, great Shane Rimmer, where he utters the unforgettable line, "You must not touch my brain!"
Very good.
I mean, he doesn't say it like
he
that.
was in the room.
No, it wasn't. But I wanted to give it some intensity rather than just read it, from the page. Anyway,
Okay, good.
just as likely, you'll also remember it as the episode where Moonbase Alpha was filled with antibodies from an enormous space brain that the hapless Alphans drifted into.
Yeah, easily done.
You remember all this. So, this effect was achieved by using foam from soap suds, which was generated by 2 huge machines at the back of the set.
Fun. That sounds like fun.
Basically a foam party.
Yes.
Giant airplane engines whipped up the bubbles and spread them across the sets and the actors, later to be accompanied by the thunderous theme from Holst's Mars, The Bringer of War. Ba-da-da-dum, bum, bum, ba-ba-bum. That one,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
I'm not going to do more, don't worry. You don't want my acting and singing in the same podcast, do you? However, there were some less than dramatic moments on set. Director Charles Crichton and his team hadn't prepared for how loud the bubble machines would be. As the cameras rolled, the foam began to pour in. The actors completed their scene and Crichton called cut. Only he couldn't be heard over the noise. Wearing his regular clothes, the 64-year-old director ran forward, waving his arms frantically, yelling, "Cut! Cut!" at the top of his lungs. Unfortunately, he'd also forgotten about the slipperiness of soap. Losing his footing, he fell to the ground and slid into a massive bank of foam. Fortunately unhurt, the director emerged covered in foam and looking, according to Nick Tate, like the abominable snowman.
Ah, yes. I can imagine.
Crichton was famous as a director of Evening Studios comedies like The Lavender Hill Mob before his work in television, and would later be Oscar nominated for A Fish Called Wanda. So, yes, not the kind of the finest moment for him in his career.
No, sure.
Dad called him one of the best directors he'd ever worked with, and he died the day after Breakaway Day on the 14th of September 1999, would you believe?
Oh.
That's sad.
Oh.
Of course, this isn't the only sci-fi story to feature terrifying soap suds. Another famous example is Doctor Who's Fury from the Deep, as we both know.
Oh, yes, yes,
but
yes.
can you think of any other suddy examples, Podsterons? Please email us your foamy memories to podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk.
Okay.
Yes, that would be great. I mean,
Right.
so what's Patrick Troughton episode of Doctor Who where the TARDIS is being engulfed by lava at the beginning?
Oh, a lava. Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
I'm sure that's
Jamie.
is it Tomb of the Cybermen
Right.
maybe, or
I don't-
the Mind Robber. Anyway, whichever one it is, it's a while since I've seen it. I'm going to be strung up for not knowing that, but I'm sure that's soap suds.
Really?
Similar.
Oh.
It's very kind of liquidy foam. Anyway, Podsterons, you'll know better. Where else have foamy, bubbly soap suds been used in the world of sci-fi? Let us know.
Just trying to think. I don't think I've ever had to act opposite foamy soap suds. Although she's a great actress, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Well, of course, her parents, Alan Soap and Beryl Sudds,
Yes, that's right.
were
I
both
have
famous in
been,
their own right.
Yeah, I've been blown across a medieval courtyard by a giant fan, so I know what those fans are like. They are
right.
huge and very, very noisy.
Yeah. They are.
Yeah,
aren't
don't
they?
ask. Yeah.
No, we best not. And there were no soap suds in Space Precinct.
No, I don't think we ever did soap suds, no.
Missed
Lots
a
of
trick
soap
there.
acting.
Yes, quite right. I can't beat that gag. So
No.
that, I think, leaves us the perfect moment to end this week's Soap Fact. Oh, you went foam, I
A
went
bit of
soap.
alliteration, surely. Foam
Foam
fact.
fact, yeah, that would have been
foam.
much better. Oh well.
Yeah. Never mind, there's always next time. Anyway, now, our Podsterons, of course, have been getting in touch at podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk. Are you ready, Jamie, for a bumper bag of email goodness?
Can't wait to hear what's in your
Right.
bumper bag.
Okay, this is from Hannah, and she says, I just saw the new audio for Stingray, and now I've got something else to look forward to from the Anderson store. It may seem too early to say this, but I think I'll enjoy hearing or reading more adventures. Growing up, I've never come across any TV21 comics, and Stingray is my second favourite Super Mario Nation series after Thunderbirds, so this will be a real treat for me. I'm still patiently waiting for my pre-ordered Terror from the Stars novel. I'll get the audio, but I like to read it first. Although I was a little disappointed that the delivery date turned out to be longer than expected.
Oh, I know. More supply problems.
Yeah, but, says Hannah, good things will come to those who wait, and I am happy to wait. Thank you, and keep them coming. PWOR from Hannah. Nice.
Oh, cheers, Hannah. Yes,
Dan
thanks for
got in
patiently waiting for the
Yep.
hardback, by the way.
Yes, indeed. Dan got in touch to say, Jamie, Richard and Chris, you asked if our listening habits have changed. And I have to say, in my case, not a bit. I started listening when I got my electric assist bicycle back in March 2020, and you've been my regular Monday listening as I get my exercise about 5 days a week. I've gone over 4,700 miles now, mostly riding on a paved trail through a nature preserve. So you've been along for the ride for about 1,000 miles, and jolly good company you've been too.
Oh.
Just as a side note, says Dan, to keep my bike rides interesting, I set arbitrary goals to travel the distance from my home in Oregon to various theme parks around the world. So far, I've reached Knott's Berry Farm in California. Is that Eilich or Ellich Gardens in Colorado, Dolly Parton's Dollywood in Tennessee, Kennywood in Pennsylvania, and in a couple of weeks I'll have pedalled the distance to Tokyo Disneyland, and after that I'm aiming for Efteling in the Netherlands. Whenever I arrive at a destination, I take a day off riding and watch YouTube videos of the attractions at that park.
That's
and that's
nice.
Dan, isn't that a great idea?
Yeah, that is a great way to feel like you're getting out and about, Dan, and going to different places when it's not so easy currently. So.
Dan, let me know if ever you reach Legoland near Windsor, and I'll come and meet you. Stephen Watson says, Hi, Jamie, Richard, Chris, and all the lovely people behind the scenes at Anderson Entertainment. General stuff. Samira Ahmed is an utter joy, intelligent, articulate, passionate, analytical, insightful, and somehow managing a delightful touch of humour and fun to it all. Can't wait for the rest of the interview. Stephen says, I've listened to every podcast from the preview onwards, and amazingly, I still look forward to it every week. Yeah.
That is utterly amazing.
Yeah. He says, my partner ordered Terror from the Skies for my birthday in May, but it was so long back, and with all the delays, it was a total surprise to him too when it arrived. I'm really looking forward to my 4 hours of Thunderbirds audio goodness. I listened to the podcast on my drive to and from work, usually in a single day, although occasionally two, and since about March 2020, I've listened on the sofa at home and during my regular stroll around the village, and now rarely in the car. Times have changed. And that's from Stephen Watson. I'll get it right. A.K.A. the Podsteron. There you are. Now, Stephen is one of our Podsterons who isn't on Facebook. So I'm just going to put this out there. You don't have to be in the group to be a Podsteron.
No, of course not.
Just by virtue of listening, you are a Podsteron.
Yes. You now, if you hear the words Podsteron as spoken by Richard and I, you are a Podsteron. So thanks for being a Podsteron.
Yeah, that's true.
Podsteron.
Yeah, that's it. David Lee Summers says, Jamie and Richard, greetings from Kitt Peak National Observatory in the US. I'm a new listener of the Gerry Anderson podcast and was excited to hear you mention Joan Marie Verber's Thunderbirds novels in the emails from our listeners segment of show 159. My review quote appears on the cover of her novel, Situation Critical. Yeah, it's always delighted me to have a little connection to Gerry Anderson's shows through that book, and I think her novels were terrific. I enjoyed the Samira Ahmed UFO discussion. It seems we're a similar age, and I also did my first proper watch of UFO fairly recently, so it was especially interesting to compare her thoughts to my own. Looking forward to catching up with earlier episodes, as well as listening to future ones, and thanks for the entertaining podcast. Best wishes, David Lee Summers. Phew. A few more. Joshua says, Hi, Jamie and Richard. I hope you're both well. Oh, yes. When the pandemic is over, will there be plans for an Andercon? If so, the Aurora Hotel near Gatwick is rather good. I've been to a few DWAS Capital events there. That's the Doctor Who Appreciation Society, I think, which were ace, he says. Cheers, Joshua.
Well,
plans?
Richard, don't say it so innocently. You know there's a plan for something.
Yeah.
We can't yet reveal that. But, I mean, just thinking ahead... If we were going to do something, it would almost certainly now fall around the time of, say, Gerry Anderson Day, do you think? That might be a good kind of time to do it.
Yeah, that would work.
So, yeah, Who knows? That's all I shall say for now.
All right. Jim Lawson says, hi, I live in Prescott Valley, Arizona, and I'm recently retired from a 34-year career at Boeing and live listening while I'm driving as well as exercising in the gym. The podcast is FAB, and I love the bantering, humour, randomiser, as well as fab facts.
Yeah, good
Crikey.
man. Thank you very
All
much.
right. Thanks from Jim. Now,
Cheers, Jim.
I also want to mention... Nigel Smith, I think, sent a photograph. I don't know if you saw this, Jamie. A series of photographs, a copy of a book called Thunderbirds Operation Asteroids.
Yes, we know it.
Yes, okay. He said, my son sent me this. Do you know the background to its publications? Is there a set or any others? And yes, he says, referring to the photographs, I do bite my nails. And yes, he posted a copy of Thunderbirds Operation Asteroids by John W. Jennison from 1966.
Yeah. Which is another pen name of John Thaden, which is one of the series of books that we are currently republishing and adapting for audio.
Get away.
Yeah, so I think we'll probably have Operation Asteroids out in October or November this year, something like that, maybe a little bit later. So
Nice.
yes, it is part of a series of, I think, 9 books in total. And we're republishing the lot.
Great. There you go, Nigel. And finally, Jamie, you'll be delighted to hear that we've heard from Phil Steer.
Oh, Phil
Oh,
Steer.
yes. Phil says, hi all. Just a quick note with another Anderson marriage to add to your list. Oh, yes, we were talking, weren't we, a couple of weeks ago about Anderson marriages. John Brown, he says, sculptor and Wanda Webb puppet operator. There you go.
Yes,
Keep up the great work.
yes, that's
Best wishes to all the
true.
Podsterons from Phil. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Phil.
Nice.
Thanks for adding that in. Now, I mentioned last week, didn't I, John and Jean Taylor,
Yes.
who did the sound design. Weirdly,
Yes.
immediately before this podcast recording, I was on the phone to their son. Isn't that strange?
Yes.
Just purely
there
by
you go.
coincidence. How
What
was that?
were you on the phone to them about? Anything in particular? or-
You know what I was on the phone about, and I
Oh,
can't mention it
yeah.
at this particular moment in time. Thank you.
All right. All for now on the email front. That's coming back a bit later on because, of course, we have some answers to the 6 degrees of Anderson.
Oh,
that you
my
said a couple of weeks ago,
favourite.
Jamie. Yeah, so we'll be hearing those a little later on. In the meantime, do get in touch, podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk with your questions, comments, reviews and thoughts, and I shall endeavour to read them out next time.
Okay, I look forward to it.
Great.
Would you like some of the latest updates from around the world of Anderson, Richard James?
Yes.
Good, because we have a section of this podcast called the Gerry Anderson
yeah.
News, and this is it right now. Yes, it's the Gerry Anderson News. News. Good, yes, where we have all things Gerry Anderson
Newsy.
News, yes, and newsy from anything connected to Anderson. So let's begin thusly. Let's start with some stun guns and comlock sets.
Ooh.
The 1612 stun gun and comlock sets from Space 1999 are in stock, and they're heading out to you now. If you didn't pre-order, then I'm sorry, but you've missed out. There is no more stock available. Everything was fully accounted for. If you have ordered, it should be on its way to you by now, or will be arriving very, very shortly. Slightly longer lead times outside the UK. So if you're in Europe or the US, or particularly in Australia and New Zealand, it'll take a little bit longer, but they are on their way to you. Sorry for the delays. Completely outside of our control, but I'm very glad they're now in.
Great news.
Speaking of things that have been delayed, and these ones mostly are our fault, Terror from the Stars, the hardback and 5-star 5 are currently being printed and will be arriving in the UK in the next couple of weeks. So if you've pre-ordered those, they will be with you very soon. And 5-star 5, the CD version, we expect will be arriving in the UK the very beginning of August and shipping out almost immediately after that.
Oh, yes.
Big Finish will be releasing around the same time, I expect. More on that very, very soon. If you like something free and you haven't already seen it, then, well, you should watch Enigma, the new Captain Scarlet episode, which is on our YouTube channel right now. It's only been up for a week or so, but about 50,000 people have watched it, and lots of people finding new Captain Scarlet for the first time, which is lovely. It's why we do these things.
Yep.
Just a reminder that Stingray Operation Ice Cap is currently in post-production. You can pre-order the CD audiobook from the Gerry Anderson store. You can pre-order the download from Big Finish, or you can get the hardback too from the Gerry Anderson store. All up to you. Lovely cover art. The audio sounds fantastic. The guys have done an amazing job. And again, I'm so taken with Jules DeYoung's Atlanta. Oh,
Yes.
just gorgeous. So Lois Maxwell. Brilliant. And finally for now, The Eagle Moss Eagle One. Our allotment of them is almost sold out. Pre-selling is almost sold out. So if you do want that, it's a 10-inch long Eagle One. It's gorgeous. It's arriving at the end of the month, at the end of July, that is, and we'll be shipping out soon afterwards. So if you missed out on the Comlock and Stun Gun set, then don't wait, don't delay on Eagle One. There are 2 other variants which are coming in August and September. The laboratory version, which is arriving in September, is exclusive to us at the Gerry Anderson store. If you do see it for pre-sale elsewhere, they unfortunately won't be able to get it because it's our exclusive model. So there we go. Better get it from us. If you've got any ideas about future Eagles you would like to see, and I know there's been a glut of Eagles over the last 2 years, then do email us, podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk. We'd love to know what you would like to see next from Eagle Moss. But for now, that's the end of this week's Gerry Anderson News.
That was the news. That was the news.
Wow, what a beauty.
Wasn't it? What do you mean, me or the news? I'm sorry, just to clarify.
Well, both, funnily enough, but it was you gave us a real belting, that was the news there, so thanks.
There's a lot of news about, isn't there? It's worth belting it out, I think.
There's more in there, all coming soon. Stay tuned, Podsteron, the next few weeks for some more exciting stuff.
Oh, can't wait. In the meantime, don't forget, as you're listening to the Gerry Anderson podcast, you can subscribe to us on whichever platform you're listening to us on, and make us your friends forever by leaving a nice review or a rating.
Yes.
And maybe even copy the link and post it on all your socials and let your friends know that you're listening and they might want to join in the fun too. Now, Jamie, are you ready for some answers to your 6 degrees of Anderson?
Oh, I would love nothing more right now than those answers.
Now, well, there's a bit of a bone of contention, if you don't mind me saying, because Simon Allen got in touch and said, please note, Jamie insisting on exactly 6 lines means there'll have to be some padding.
That's fine, I like padding.
Well, yeah, that's the way. So, just a reminder, Jamie set you a challenge to get from, a dry whiteboard marker pen to Dick Spanner in no more and no less than 6 steps.
Thank you, yes, has to be 6.
All right?
Yep.
Okay. So here's Simon Allen. He says, a dry whiteboard marker is a useful stationary item. Stationary items are coming in handy with my Black Widow cosplay. Black Widow fought alongside the Vision, played by Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany lived a few miles down the road from me. I would get a lift sometimes from Shane Rimmer, and Shane was the voice of Dick Spanner. So you kept it personal. I like that.
Yeah, but personally padded at the end there.
Yes. Well,
I once saw a leaf, and there's a leaf blower, and Shane Rimmer owned a leaf blower, and all right, Simon, bit vague.
All right, okay, try this from Paul Hyder. Dry whiteboard markers are non-soluble ink pens. Non-soluble ink pens are ideal for writing on wet paper. An example of a wet paper product is Rain Labels. Rain Labels is an anagram of ballerinas. Ballerinas are pink dancers. Pink dancers is an anagram of Dick Spanner. Well, that's from Paul Hyder.
Can we confirm that actually is an anagram and he hasn't done that thing where you people just say random things?
I think they're both there. 2 N's, a P, a K, a C. I think they're all there.
They do that though. They're like, oh, did you know though that Captain Scarlet is an anagram of Alan Carter?
Yes.
So there must be a connection.
Right.
It's not. It's a lie.
It's not. No. Yeah, that's right. He says you did ask for circuitous, but then he sent us 1 degree. Okay?
1 degree?
Dry whiteboard markers are sold on backing cards. Ink pen cards is an anagram of Dick Spanner. So there you go.
You can have a bonus 1/10 of a point.
Oh, okay.
He
says we need harder ones, Jamie. All the best from Paul Hyder. Don't tempt him, Paul, really. Honestly. And finally, we have an audio file which we love to hear from Martin Laybourne. Here is his 6 degrees of Anderson.
Hello, Richard, Jamie, and Chris. It's Martin here. Here is my 6 degrees of Anderson for the dry whiteboard marker to Dick Spanner. Here we go. 1. The dry whiteboard marker, as the description suggests, is used on a whiteboard. 2. The invention of the whiteboard has been credited to one Martin Haight, a photographer and a Korean War veteran. 3. The Korean War has been depicted on the silver screen many times. Films like the 1959 Pork Chop Hill, which starred Gregory Peck, again, and a pre-North by Northwest appearance of Space 1999's Martin Landau. And also, of course, the TV series MASH. 4. MASH was originally a movie from 1970 starring Donald Sutherland and Elliot Gould. 5. 4 years later, Sutherland and Gould would renew their acting partnership in the 1974 film Spies, alongside actor Shane Rimmer. 6. Shane Rimmer is, of course, the voice of Dick Spanner, and I think he did some other voice, can't remember. Anyway, there you go. All the best. Bye for now.
Oh, Martin, thank you.
Yeah, Martin Landau, the Korean War, and the TV series MASH. Pretty circuitous, I'd say.
All 6 degrees of separation should include at least one of those things, really.
Oh, I think you're right.
That's not a rule for future ones.
No, okay. Jamie, I know you put a lot of effort and time and preparation into deciding what the next 6 degrees of Anderson should be. Yep. So what have you decided on this week?
So this week, I'm asking
looking around
you...
his office.
No, I'm asking you to connect Pinkster Gin, which is a raspberry infused gin brand, which is very delicious if you like gin, to Moya Griffiths, also known as Moya Ruskin, who played the human version of Kate Castrol in Terrorhawks. Pinkster Gin to Moya Ruskin. Now, I am disallowing any route that goes via pink
Korean
hair.
War. Okay.
Pink hair is too easy, so you must avoid the pink hair reference. You've got to be smarter than that, Podsteron. Good luck.
Wow. There you go. Send them in to podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk or even post them on our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Podsterons, and I shall see them there for next time or the time after. We'll see how we go.
Can't wait for those. Good luck.
Yeah. Good luck, yeah.
Any other contributions from Podsterons before we hand over to our favourite Kiwi?
No, let's hand over to our favourite Kiwi.
He's not really a Kiwi, though, is he? Because he's originally a Brit. But
well, you've torn it.
He sounds very much like a New Zealander these days. Richard Taylor, who also possesses an honorary title, which I'm banned from using because I already used it once last time.
Yes.
He's a special effects maestro, bit of an all-round legend, lovely man, one of the busiest men in production and visual effects and entertainment in general. And we were very lucky to get an hour of his time. So here, without further ado, is Richard Taylor from Weta, Part 2. Am I right in saying, Richard, that a Lady P's car lives somewhere not far away from where you're sitting, or is that top secret?
It does, that's right. Sadly, not my Lady P's car.
Shame.
No. The wonderful Peter Jackson is a very passionate collector, and he plays an incredibly important service in the world, in my view. Whatever people think of collectors that might find things around the world that takes them out of circulation for others to collect, I think it's a huge service, because he doesn't collect and just then puts them on a shelf. He preserves, he refurbishes where necessary. He'll elongate the life of something by possibly hundreds of years, and he respects and is a wonderful fan of these objects, and then on special occasions people get to see them. So I can't think that those items that Peter owns of your dad's work could be in better hands, personally.
No. Quite agree. I just love the fact that they'll be preserved because of his passion and skills for preserving stuff, I guess, knowing how to do it.
And the team of people that he's put around himself, all experts, all capable of documenting and archiving, and then the temperature-controlled rooms that he'll keep them in, is just him paying tribute to their sort of worldly value to the future.
It's brilliant to know that it's there in good hands. Before we move on beyond the sort of your early experience of Anderson and into kind of career stuff and how you've got where you are, you've mentioned Thunderbirds, you mentioned Joe 90. I'm surprised as a passionate, wannabe submariner that Stingray hasn't crossed into conversation yet. Is Stingray in there too?
Of course. I just didn't want to start rattling, because then you just rattle through all of them.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No. Of course. I don't know where to start, really. Of course, Stingray. If there's any one show that sort of carried me right through into adulthood, it was Space 1999, and it was the Eagles. I became utterly fascinated with the Eagles. I've got models of them. My wife and I were very fortunate to meet at a very young age, and magnificent.
There's the one just above my desk, which is
lovely. Oh, you lucky thing. And
sorry to show off.
so we we could talk about our fandom for things like Space 1999, and of course that was in a hugely popular show here, as popular as any Netflix show would be today. It was
really
massive in New Zealand, and everyone talked about it at school and then at college. And as everyone on this, if people are actually listening to the waffle that I'm doing right now, they all know how we can all appreciate how critically important all of these shows were to us growing up. UFO was, that was a show that I won't waffle on. Needless to say, we are all so lucky and so inspired, and and the history of your dad's work just fills our lives today, which is really lovely. So
that is really, really lovely to hear. Yeah, it was great. So just before we depart these, for you, I guess I might be right in saying that it's the thread of design, miniatures and effects that sort of kept you engaged through all of those shows. I mean, maybe you're going to tell me that you love the storytelling or the voice artist.
Of course. The thing that ultimately keeps you coming back. I've always said, why did we want to make tag? There's multiple reasons why you want to try and bring Thunderbirds back to the screen. And some listening to this call may entirely disagree and think you should never remake a King Kong or remake a Star Wars. Or we never thought that we were remaking Thunderbirds. What I was so passionate about was trying to bring back to the television screen the core philosophies that were being shared in the Thunderbird show with a new group of kids, more critical today than it ever was in the 1960s. Absolutely. And what is at the very heart and core of the Thunderbirds, and to me it is one thing above all else, and that is uncelebrated heroism. Yep. Okay, to me that's what the Thunderbirds stand for. I got that as a child, I got it through my youth, and to some degree, because of maybe the very modest Northern English attitudes of my parents, it's something I've always carried with me, irrelevant of the Thunderbirds. But I love that the Thunderbirds acknowledged and celebrated in this point. And if you think today, everyone is told that they deserve their 5 minutes of TV fame, right? Yeah. Everyone perceives that in their Kardashian universe, they're going to be able to have their 5 minutes of fame. And here is a group of brothers led by their father that is going out into the world, performing the greatest acts of heroism in the preservation of human life, to only then disappear back into the shadows.
Yeah.
And what an incredibly powerful message to share with young children today. And that was the primary driver for me. What better platform to share that message than the original Thunderbirds television series? And I felt very strongly. So the shows, the original shows, were so varied in their invention. If you look at the shows that people rave about today on Netflix, they can't come close to the episodic invention of ideas that were having to be realized every week. You know, they might have an incredible core idea, and then it might have subplots that thread through multiple seasons. But if you think about Thunderbirds, it like independently from all the other Gerry work, the core scripted ideas were so extraordinarily complex and varied and deep and et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah. City of Fire, everyone has a favorite episode. City of Fire is mine. I just love that they used such great physical elements so bravely and pulled it off. For the most part, just pulled it off. And there's real sense of trepidation and fear. You feel deeply anxious for what are obviously puppets when you're in your older life, but you still care and feel deeply concerned for them.
Yeah. The drama was very real and the consequences were potentially very real, right? Despite the very fictional physical setting.
Well, because of fire, for every kid that started a fire in the hearth or put a bonfire in the back garden and burnt themselves, you actually have a psychological understanding. And I think the reason I connect with that episode is because you have an understanding of the very physical reality of what they will suffer if they fail.
Yeah.
And that puts nail-biting level of tension into the show.
Yeah. No, it is amazing what they achieved in terms of the emotional response, because most people would say, you're not going to get that much of a connection to a puppet, but that's where there's a kind of misunderstanding, I think, about puppetry in general. Richard, because you've brought up tag and your sort of aims, and I love your view of the philosophy of Thunderbirds and International Rescue. I mean, obviously it echoes Jeff's spoken sentiments, but takes it much, much further. When the opportunity came up to do tag and to sort of reinvent Thunderbirds and try and convey that message, what was your feeling? I mean, I guess there must have been a bit of a sense of a weight and quite a task to do it justice. So how was that process?
Yeah, well, the opportunity didn't come up. We engineered the opportunity. The stars aligned that we had an infrastructure through Pukeko Pictures capable of actually realizing something as complex and as difficult as this. And putting together a television series of any scale is an immensely complex undertaking, especially when you don't own the IP. So we had actually started 12 years earlier. We'd flown to the UK, Peter and I, and we'd come and met Gerry actually at Pinewood. He was making the original Captain Scarlet. Sorry, the remake of Captain Scarlet is the digital show. And he kindly gave us half a day of his time. We spent the morning sitting in his office drinking tea, having a conversation not too dissimilar to the one that you and I are having, where we just basically blabbed about our passions and this is a long time before Peter was able to collect any of the original props and so on. So we were just two enthusiasts. And then he took us down onto the floor and we got to meet the animators and we got to watch the work that they were doing. And it was all, we were somewhat starstruck and it was really bloody marvelous. But we came home and did a pitch, and that pitch is really, really something. I wish I could show it to the people on the call, because I think they would thoroughly enjoy it. They certainly
is this the one with Peter in it?
Yeah.
I agree. They would love it.
But we sent it off to Carlton, I think it was at the time. Jamie, it's long distant memories now, so correct me if I get anything wrong. But
I think you're right.
Yeah, we sent it to Carlton, and they loved it. At first, they didn't get it, and they thought that it was an incredible puppet, and they didn't know how we'd done the animatronics and the puppet. But unfortunately, Carlton was bought out, and it was lost for 12 years. But we decided once we set up Pukeko Pictures, we'd done Jane and the Dragon, and we'd done the What-What's and other bits and pieces. We decided to go back at it again. My dear friend Martin and our business partner Tanya and I all decided that Thunderbirds was something that we would try and have a go at. And we developed a pitch, and we presented it to then ITV. And ultimately, through a long and protracted process, we were able to start on it, and that's really how it came about. And we were delighted and overjoyed, and we ultimately produced 72 half hours, and it's an awful lot of television.
It is no mean feat.
Yeah, we resolutely wanted to do as much of it in miniature as possible to try and capture the flavour of the originals. The question may come up, well, why the hell didn't you use puppets? We didn't use puppets because we felt that a modern childhood audience wouldn't respect or understand the level of performance that we would be able to coax out of puppets versus their expectations for their television consumption of what they want to get out of their action heroes today. And it drove a sad conclusion that we wouldn't utilize puppets, that we would need to use CGI for those characters. And of course, this is CGI at television budgets, very challenging, but we're immensely proud of the show. We have a respectful fan base around the world. The loveliest thing for us is meeting passionate fans of the original that come up and see us at Comic-Con and other places. You witnessed it yourself,
Absolutely.
Jamie. Incredible enthusiasm for the efforts that we made. It will never be the original. We never set out to try and better the original, but we did try and set out to make something that respected the original, drove the same ethical and story content out to children across the world, and meanwhile celebrating in everything that is Thunderbirds. So I'd like to think we, to a great part, have not entirely achieved that. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, there's a load of people listening to this right now who have loved and enjoyed every minute of it.
Great.
So I'm sure
the show is a huge.
From you.
The show is a huge tribute to the men and women that worked tirelessly for nearly a decade to maybe more so that to make it.
Yeah.
You know, this was a massive undertaking and a massive tribute to those people.
Oh, lovely. We're going to cut it there because I want to make this last as long as possible because Rich's contributions are so brilliant. And, sometimes we spoil you, Podsterons, by giving you, for example, 40 minutes for Samira Ahmed. Well, not this time. No. We're spreading Richard across 3 podcasts. So Richard's third part will be here in Pod 163 next week.
Nice. Meanwhile, over on our Facebook group, Roger Smith has pre-ordered Stingray Operation Ice Cap.
Oh.
Hey.
Quite right too.
Willow says, doing my Wednesday shopping listening of the pod, and the question on what would a Thunderbirds dream episode be like came up. So here's my one, written for a fan fiction challenge I did a few months ago, and she posted her own Thunderbirds fan fiction, so you can see it on the page. Robert Cassidy posted a video of a Lego bridge stress test and asked, but can it hold the Martian space probe rocket transporter? That's the real test. Emma Whitehouse Bird posted, saw the Fab Ford on Sunday at the British Motor Museum in Warwickshire as part of the Austin Healey Sprite 60th anniversary. It's interesting that from certain angles this car is gorgeous, and then from other angles it's plain ugly. Well, I know the feeling. Yes, Pete Kirby says, my ears pricked up when listening to the podcast interview today at the mention of Anuska Hempel, who I remember having a bit of a thing for back when I was a teenager. She appeared in a few episodes of UFO as one of the Skydiver crew, and also in a couple of Space 1999 episodes. Yuhan said, so inspired by that anecdote about Gerry importing a VCR in the recent Samira Ahmed interview, what was everyone's first experience with the DVD format? He says, mine was back in 2000 when we bought our first DVD player for $499 Australian dollars when I was in high school. We were the first family in the school to own one. Even the teachers were asking me if it was worth investing in this new technology. The first DVD we rented was the Inspector Gadget movie, and the first Gerry Anderson DVDs I got were the initial releases of the Thunderbirds DVDs when they were released in individual volumes when I bought the whole set in 2004. Nice. I don't remember my first DVD. I remember my first colour TV. How old does that make me? I remember coming home from school and there was our first colour TV, probably about 1974, 75.
Was it like Magic Witchcraft?
It was Magic Witchcraft, and there were, strangely, 4 buttons on it. BBC One and BBC Two.
Yeah.
Then ITV1 and ITV2.
Oh, really?
For the fabled 4th channel that, would eventually appear.
Yeah, 10 years later,
exciting.
or whatever it was.
Yeah, that's right.
Gosh. Yeah, I can't remember first DVD. Strange, isn't it? Some things just don't kind of...
That's right.
Don't stick. It may have been a Doctor Who, actually. Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet people remember their first sort of LPs and their first singles and things like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I wonder why they're more seminal. Anyway, there we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Thanks for all your emails, Podsterons. Any more, Richard James? Because I can see over there that Chris Dale's almost finished.
Oh, God, yes. It's a bit of a hurry, isn't he? No, I'll leave the tweets for later. Let's head on over to Chris.
Okay, fine. Well, Chris, who is now stomping this way. Oh, I see what he's done. He's pinned them all to a sort of a smock.
Yes, he has.
And he's now wearing all 140 badges across his chest. Yeah. Chris, you look very fancy, but a bit weird.
It's great.
Chris is here. All emblazoned and bedazzled with badges to bring you this week's randomizer, where he presses a button on the randomizer and randomly picks a random Gerry Anderson episode and watches it with you, possibly, and gives you his thoughts and comments. So, Chris, I guess it's over to you.
There's no sign of him, Ibram.
He'll show up when he realizes what's happening to his friend, the beautiful woman of the sea. And when he does, we'll capture him.
Morning, chaps.
Don't move. Stay right where you are.
Yes, well, happy to comply with that. I just thought I'd stop by and save Marina. Did you really have to tie her to the rack like this?
She is a traitress.
Really? Well, she's always been lovely to me. Don't worry, old girl, soon have you out of here. I must say, I don't think you chaps have been very hospitable.
Haven't we?
No, I mean, all we did was come down here to ask if you might like to press the button on the randomizer for us today.
But we have planned for that day, Earth people. I promise you that you will never leave here alive to tell of your find.
Find? What? Oh, you mean all the gold and treasure and so forth? Oh, dear me, no. Absolutely no interest in that, no. None at all.
I think we can trust him.
Trust us enough to agree to your pressing the button today?
Yes.
I think I know a way of doing it. We could use it.
I know what you're thinking, Trell, and I agree.
As you command.
Glad you got that sorted out between you. Thank you, Trell, that's it. And in a few moments, the answer will be coming on the printout there.
We shall see.
That's it. If you could just grab it.
All of them, Ibram?
There is only one answer, Trell.
Yes, I can see that.
I'll just give it here, I'll do it. Right, okay. Well, it's Captain Scarlet today with...
What about Captain Black?
Yes, he's here too, for Model Spy.
It seems he'll do anything for gold.
No, it's a different Captain Black, actually, but, what's the use? I suppose I couldn't really expect too much sense from a man with a candelabra on his head.
You may start, Captain Black.
Leading the fight, one man fate has made indestructible. His name, Captain Scarlet.
So, welcome back to Captain Scarlet on the Randomizer, and a slightly unusual episode for the series. Model Spy. Firstly, I believe this is the only episode to be written by a chap named Bill Headley. I have no idea what happened to him after this.
So looking forward to seeing Monte Carlo.
I am very excited myself, even after 5 years.
5 years? It's a long time.
Working for Monsieur Verdun,
and we have one of those classic conversations where people tell each other things they already know.
Then the summer, then winter. Always there's something new.
I'm very lucky to be working for the House of Verdun.
Yes, it is tiring being a fashion model.
Real people don't talk like this.
And the excitement.
Ah, yes. Always the excitement.
Continue to tell me more about this profession that both of us have been involved in for the last 5 years.
We seem to be swaying around.
But, it's a quick way to get to establish these characters, to get a little bit of information out there about them before they meet their untimely end.
Are you sure we're quite safe?
I don't know. We're going so fast. Too fast.
And I am not a railway safety inspector. I am a fashion model, of which I have been for 5 years, and I am very much enjoying it.
Out of control.
And, no explanation of what exactly causes this crash, by the way. I mean, the train just almost flies off the rails. No hint of Mistron influence. Also, no indication of how many other people were on that train. I like that you see the shot of the cab, the front of the train just lifting slowly up, and there's a shot of the driver just stood there. You can imagine him thinking, oh no. And here's the wreckage of the train. Again, this is kind of unpleasant stuff, because although we don't see any injuries to the two models who are now dead, there's a lot of broken glass around the place. And again, this kind of death feels, I don't know, feels a bit nastier than just a simple car off a cliff type thing. But that's a very cool shot of the rings going over the bodies. Then we pull back from the crashed wreck to the two Mr. On replacements watching it, and no dialogue either.
We will continue to take our revenge. You should never have attacked our Martian complex. We are about to attack the House of Verdun. Henri Verdun will die.
I do love that. You should never have attacked us, but on the other hand, maybe we have carried this reprisal thing on a bit too far, Now we're reduced to attacking, well, the head of a seemingly ordinary fashion house.
A fashion house?
Mm.
The Mistron message said.
But why on earth would the Mistrons want to kill the owner of a French fashion house? It doesn't add up.
Maybe Colonel White can tell us when he returns.
I'm not sure why Green feels the need to put on his hat for this particular meeting.
Photographs I've seen, Andre Verdun doesn't appear of particular importance to anyone, least of all the Misterons.
I am so glad.
Casual indifference to the life of a threatened man, a man who is presumably quite wealthy.
If we hadn't decided to fly to Monte Carlo at the last minute, we'd have been on that train.
I can't bear to think of it.
And there's a subtle piece of information to keep in mind for later.
Lots of fabulous clothes for you to model. You must look your best for the fashion show.
Don't worry, monsieur. We won't let you down. We know what we must do.
That's because you know nothing about it.
And Liz Morgan and of course Sylvia Anderson playing the Mistrons in this episode. And very rarely do we ever have any female Mistron agents.
Verdun is the cover for the European Area Intelligence Service.
How would you?
Or dummies. Yeah, the only other one we get is Judy Chapman in Place of Angels.
Runs a ladies' dress and fashion business, could be a spy.
And Verdun controls operations from Paris?
Right. Without him, the whole of the European network would fold. We've got to give him protection without breaking his cover. Verdun reported recently that an agent resembling Captain Black has been working in Europe. He's been on his trail for some time.
I like that, the idea that it's not just Spectrum who are looking out for Captain Black, and that there are other intelligence agencies across the world who are having problems with him.
To kill him, my guess is that's where they'll try.
It does make this feel, because although this is a threat against the Earth, sometimes Spectrum's dealings with the Mistrons, they do feel much more sort of...
Spectrum isn't completely...
it's Spectrum versus the Mistrons, and nobody else is involved except for all those hundreds of innocent civilians who get bumped off and replicated along the way. It's nice to feel that someone else is fighting against them, and here we go.
How do I look?
Dreadful. Destiny looks okay.
Magnifique.
But Symphony...
The assignment is certainly different.
And she's worn this before, I think, or in a subsequent episode.
Well, we better get up.
It's just a blue thing with... It's the tie. It's this massive blue tie.
Their way, sir. Here they are now.
It's not glamorous, it's not stylish, and I'm saying that as me. If you've ever met me, I am Mr. Unglamorous and Stylish. I do like, though, the whoever's puppeteering Destiny puts that... she's swaggering her hips there as she leans against the door.
Well, your covers are arranged. Destiny and Symphony Angels are to be models attached to the House of Verdun. Captain Scarlet is a press relations man, and Captain Blue a photographer. I can't remember an assignment when secrecy mattered so much. Only Verdun will know your true identity.
Oh, and Scarlet is holding Symphony's hand there, in full view of Captain Blue. The swine.
Welcome to Monte Carlo. How was the journey? Well, we were scheduled to land in Paris, but it was fog-bound. So we flew direct to Monte Carlo.
Oh, see, there we go. There's that clue again.
I'm Paul Metcalf. This is Adam Svensson.
You'll still refer to these two as Destiny and Symphony.
Let's get on to details.
Have the arrangements for our cover been finalized?
It's a big problem. My value to the European area...
Destiny is sitting on the floor.
...of use if no one suspects...
That's strange.
Maybe it
There's plenty of seating. Everyone has got a seat.
We have our orders, Monsieur Verdun.
Verdun's got a whole sofa to himself. Destiny's chosen to sit on the floor.
pass as models, and you, Paul and Adam, will join my public relations staff.
That should give us a chance to stay close.
I love that Destiny and Symphony. They'll pass as models. They'll do, you know.
Some of the girls. I suggest you join the party.
Don't worry, Monsieur Verdun. We're not letting you out of our sight.
And here we go. Lovely Monte Carlo waterfront. Similar to the ones we see in Thunderbirds, in The Man from MI5. I'm sure there must be some reused elements there. Possibly the backdrop. But because it's lit in the daytime, whereas MI5 was at night, it looks slightly different. There's a plane passing over.
I've always longed to be a pilot. Do you think you could be one?
I don't think so.
Why not?
I don't think I would have a head for heights.
Monsieur Verdun, can we go for a trip around the bay?
Ah, ma chérie, most certainly. We shall finish our drinks and then go. Yes?
If we are going sailing, I must get something for my hair. Excuse me.
We must get completely sozzled before we drive the boat around the bay, yes? I also like, actually, with Jeremy Wilkins' performance of this character is...
A follower.
When he's with Scarlet and the Spectrum people, and only them, his French accent is much more natural, but when he is playing up to the models and other people in the fashion world, or the fashion world, as he calls it, it's much more flamboyant. I like that you get the suggestion there, just through the performance, that Verdun has adopted this persona of the fashion designer. It's very clever, very subtle. Anyway, the dark-haired Mistron lady, this is Gabrielle, I think, has snuck into the engine room and, well, she's going to release the fuel. Symphony's on her trail, but unfortunately...
Symphony, there's something I want to ask you.
What was that?
Would you mind stepping into my cabin for a moment?
Of course.
And we never find out what that's about. I mean, beyond, obviously, luring Symphony away from Gabrielle. But what was that conversation? It seemed like a prime moment for Helga to kill Symphony, but of course, this being the Mistrons, you know, last time they went to Cloud Base, they just sort of sat around chatting about Scottish castles rather than blow up Cloud Base. So yeah, Helga was probably chatting to Symphony about hairdos or that strange tie of hers. Anyway, the boat is now sailing out across the bay, and only Gabrielle knows that...
She can really move. I'll open her up.
The fuel is currently pouring out onto the engine. Sonar. Oh, boner? Boner or sonar? It looks like a boner. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I said that. Sorry. I'm sorry, it's not spelt that way. It's B-O-N-A. Sorry, I was trying to see... I've not got the video up as large as would have been helpful there. I was going to say I think that's a reused boat. Now I wish I hadn't said anything. Oh dear. Anyway, getting back to the engine room. Quite a bit of smoke coming out of there now.
What's that smell?
Look, smoke. We're on fire.
Ooh. Oh, that's a lovely effect shot of the engine going up in flames, but also the pump that's spilling out the fuel. It's hard to describe, but the fuel is basically coming out. It's like a flamethrower.
Where's the main tank?
In the engine room. It will explode any minute. We must get clear.
Oh, that seems like a design flaw.
Take the boat out to sea.
Will you be killed?
Do as I say. Abandon ship.
Oh, this poor boat. This is a nice-looking boat.
Jump, everybody. Jump!
Is it Verdun's leaping off with Destiny? While Scarlet, brave Scarlet, leads the boat out to sea. More familiar boats in the harbour there as we go back to the Hotel Imperial where Verdun and Spectrum gang are staying.
I can't understand how you came out of it alive.
It's a long story.
I jumped overboard just before the boat exploded. Actually, it's not a very long story at all.
Could have been an accident. The main thing is that no one was killed.
I can assure you it was no accident.
If your theory is correct, it means someone on board that ship started the fire.
Yes. A Mr. Ron agent.
Have you any idea who it could be?
I'm afraid not. Mr.
Some lovely dressing gowns on these two here.
A replacement's on its way. But we think Gabrielle was near the engine room just before the fire.
You think she might have been taken over by the Mysterons?
She might have been. That's the way the Mysterons work.
Well, we may find out at the press reception tonight.
Also strange that for Verdun, he knows about Captain Black. He must know about the Mysterons. He's not aware of the...
But Captain Black...
You know, the fact that the models had an escape from the train, a very, very narrow escape from being involved in the crash. Again, what happened to the wreckage of that crash? Were those bodies left in there for the authorities to find? I guess the Mysteron models must have hidden them. Anyway, we're now coming up on the reception scene at the hotel as Verdun announces his new fashion lines, and I am going to let that scene
Can you talk him out of it?
play almost uncommented on, because if you listen to the background audio track, the voices, you know, the general hubbub and rhubarb of the meeting, it's obviously been performed by the actors, the Scarlet actors, and you can hear Francis Matthews say, "Can I have some ice?" like 20 times. So we're going to listen for that. There we go. That's the line. Interesting as well. Rhapsody has turned up at the party. Scarlet is now chatting with Symphony, keeping an eye on Verdun. Lots of familiar faces in the party. And Scarlet again asking for ice. The Mysteron models are chatting to each other, looking a bit sinister.
You aren't drinking.
Let me get you one.
With some ice.
I have some tobacco.
Another request for ice from Scarlet. He's also taken a drink for Verdun and put a little capsule in it.
Santé. Excuse me.
What now?
More ice.
For the next move.
And meanwhile outside, there's a window cleaner's hoist on the way down with a suspicious chap on there. Who could that be? Well, he's got black boots on. He's carrying a hunting rifle. It's our old pal, Captain Black. The least likely person you'd expect to find in a fashion world like this. There he is. On his way down. Any minute.
Anything?
No.
There it was again. There it was again at the start of the scene. More ice.
Black isn't here.
Mr. Svensson, could you get me a drink?
Of course.
What's wrong with your own legs, woman? There's Black's still on his way down. Very nearly. He's so nearly there.
Enjoying the party, monsieur?
Yes, very interesting.
Gathering.
Right on cue. It's very interesting. Can I have some more ice?
Paper are you with now?
Oh, dear.
The Parisienne.
Ah, Paris. The beautiful city.
You know it well.
Yes, I live there. I flew down yesterday.
But...
What is this? I mean, it's clearly not Scarlet because he's on screen talking to Gabrielle, but who is this Scarlet-ish character in the background asking for more ice? What's he doing? Is there some maniac over in the corner building a little ice palace or something? I'm sorry. I just, once you hear that, you can't not hear it.
We're about to see will
Oh, God. Black's at the window with a hunting rifle.
Verdun!
Oh, he missed Verdun, luckily.
I can't say a thing. I don't know.
And this is an unfortunate shot.
Get those lights back on.
When the lights go out, and they just wave puppets in front of the camera. Like, someone's literally grabbed them round the waist and is just jumping them in front of the camera. And one of them is Colonel White. And he's just rolling in front of the screen.
Where's Verdun?
Through the window. All right, where did you plan to take him?
I don't know what you mean.
You said you flew down from Paris yesterday. The airport was fog-bound. No flights all day.
Ha! Game, set and match to Scarlet there.
You who have lost.
I mean, for this show, that's quite a subtle piece of writing, that little bit of information that we weren't privy to. So Gabrielle is just left at the party.
Good start. They'll never find.
Helga's gone with Black and the kidnapped Verdun.
And requisition a helicopter.
SIG?
And hurry. The homing trace I slipped into Verdun's drink has a limited range.
We're on our way.
And speaking of drinks,
requisition an SPV.
Could somebody find me some ice?
I'm going after them.
That's it. Scarlet's on the trail of Black and Co. Yeah, Gabrielle is just left at the party. No idea if she's arrested. It seems like she's just allowed to walk free, and I mean, I don't know how you would have dispatched Gabrielle in that scene. I don't know. It's just such an odd loose end, and normally the show's quite good at killing off Mistron agents once they're done. But here it seems, I don't know if it seems unwilling to bump off the Mistron agents because they're women, or because it's
taken off.
There isn't really a point in the story where...
Report on Verdun's position.
You know, there's no point for her to get into a gunfight or fall off a cliff or something.
Homing device, SIG.
Right, Symphony. Captain Blue will be following in an SPV. Keep him in the picture.
And I have a feeling this is writer Bill Headley's not only Scarlet script, only Anderson script. And
Good evening, sir.
If that's true...
Tables are this way.
We're playing a different game tonight. Captain Blue, Spectrum.
There we go, requisitioning the SPV. Yeah, if that's true, that's a shame, because this is... I'd say this is a solid episode. A solid B-grade episode. And I think the fact that it's something out of the norm. It feels more like an episode of... like a live-action ITC show. I could see this being, I don't know, a Department S episode, or...
Have requisitioned SPV. I'm taking...
I don't know, The Saint or something like that. Very atypical for Scarlet, and yet it really fits. I think also because you're putting, like, Captain Black into this glamorous world of models and fashion and such.
No, visual contact. Captain Scarlet.
Everyone's out of uniform, and it's all a bit more...
SIG.
I don't know, it just feels a bit more spy caper than the show normally gets. And in a way that actually works for the show, unlike the whole Lady Penelope thing in Thunderbirds.
Spotted.
How did they pick up our trail? Search Verdun. He must have a homing device on him.
The French police are setting up roadblocks. We've got them trapped.
And again, no explanation of why the Mistrons, having decided, having announced to the world, we want to kill Verdun, they've now kidnapped him.
We need Verdun alive. This should take care of the convertible.
Well, how, Mr. Captain Black? How does keeping Verdun alive fit with your plan of killing him? Those are literally two separate things. Oh well.
He's crashed.
Good. Now we must lose that helicopter and get to the island.
What island? What are you talking about? And we will throw him a lovely birthday party. Did we say we were going to kill him? No, we're going to make sure he lives and has a nice life. Oh dear. Anyway, Scarlet's crashed his car.
Captain Scarlet, are you all right?
Blue has arrived.
Yes, I'm all right. Let's get out.
Just need some ice for my head. That's it. SPV is now in pursuit.
They're still with us.
They must be homing onto something.
Helga looks very uncomfortable in the front seat of that car, considering she's plonked right between Black and Verdun.
We still have visual contact.
While Destiny and Symphony are following in their little helijet thing.
Catch them in 2 minutes.
It's a Spectrum pursuit vehicle, and it's closing.
An SPV.
See, he remembers from his Spectrum days. And there's the roadblock at the end of the tunnel that Black and Helga have just entered. Surely there's no way around that one car and two guys.
Trapped.
Get rid of Verdun.
We were going to keep him alive, but now I guess we have to kill him, against our plan of keeping him alive, which we changed from killing... I don't know what we're doing anymore. This is a very nasty shot, though, of Verdun being dropped headfirst onto the road. And that road is similar to the rolling road and the sky backgrounds and such. It's... Oh no, I can't talk about that because this is a very cool bit.
Completely blocked. Come out of the car with your hands up.
Black is at the roadblock, but no, the car vanishes. And Verdun witnessed it. It's the first time you see, I think, anyone outside of Spectrum witness the power of the Mistrons and live. The really strange power of the Mistrons.
Verdun!
And he just can't take his eyes off it.
Verdun!
Do you have any ice?
Are you all right? I saw it with my own eyes. It vanished. The saloon just vanished into thin air.
Oh, Scarlet's got his arm around him.
Powers we cannot hope to understand.
Let's get back to the hotel.
They're bound to have some ice there. Cut to Scarlet in the hotel hallway, pounding his fist against the ice machine. Oh dear.
We'll seek a new victim.
Yes, Captain Scarlet. And thank you. Thank you for everything. Are you sure I can't persuade you to stay on a few days?
We'd like to, but we must get back to Cloud Base.
I understand. Destiny and Symphony, please accept these as a small token of appreciation.
Present time. This rarely happens for Spectrum agents. They get their own, chair, a girl in a dress.
Angels.
Oh, how fabulous!
And a pink jacket just sort of draped on a table.
Monsieur!
With the compliments of the House of Weta.
Ah, how nice. Their own, I don't know, serving maid or whatever. I don't know what they'll do with her. But that was Model Spy, and a very, very enjoyable break from the norm for Captain Scarlet, I feel. I certainly wouldn't have wanted the show to be like this every week. It does feel a bit Euro Spy in a nice way. As a one-off, that's great. Wouldn't have wanted more like this, but I would have been interested to see more from Mr. Bill Headley. If anyone knows what happened to him, please do let us know. Obviously, I may be making a complete mistake here, and he's got a long list of Anderson credits, but I'm not aware of them. Nothing springs to mind. So for Model Spy, again we have our first Mysteron female agents. Always interesting to see that. Very strange that nothing really happened to them in the end. Also, the Mysterons forgetting their plans to kill Verdun by keeping him alive, which oddly was not the first time that happened. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but a strong mixed bag. I would recommend this one. It's an enjoyable one-off from Mr. Bill Headley, and of course I apologise if I ruined the whole thing for everybody by bringing to attention the ice thing. But there you go. You'll never be able to unhear it now.
Oh,
thank you, Chris.
Yes,
Ooh,
nice.
That'll divide opinion, I suspect. That one.
Oh well, as ever. Yeah.
Well, yes, Chris is known for dividing opinion. Terrible.
He is.
Terrible.
Yeah. Tune in next week for another random episode from the Randomiser, and also it's part 3 of Jamie's interview with Roger Taylor.
Will you stop changing his name?
Sorry.
Robert Taylor, Roger Taylor.
Far too much.
Richard
Queen.
Taylor from Weta.
Yeah, sorry.
You're so
meanwhile,
naughty.
over on Twitter, Dean says, I listen to the podcast with both ears through speakers, audio dramas with double earbuds, and recording studio double full coverage cans, and Teams, WebEx, Zoom calls with one ear. Hashtag clammy ears.
Wow, that's very specific.
Isn't it? Yeah, Paul Guest says, not that anyone but Jamie Anderson or Richard James would need to know, but I listen to the Gerry Anderson podcast with both ears right to the end. Hashtag clammy ears.
Clearly you do.
Yes, that's right. Jeff says, I listen with one AirPod in. Very rarely am I in a situation where I could use both at the same time safely, unless I'm in the shop.
Oh,
wow.
What shop's that?
We must know more.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Spill the
Don't leave
beans.
us hanging. Absolutely. The Hammer Strikes says, to answer a question that Jamie Anderson and Richard James asked about clammy ears on the Gerry Anderson podcast, if I'm just listening to something, I use both ears. If I'm recording, whether a podcast or voiceover, I only use one ear so that I can hear myself.
Yes, you see, that's my justification for my single clammy ear.
Never done that. Maybe I should start. And finally, John Berry says, both ears, of course. It's just too easy for other distractions otherwise. That's my worry, you see. If you leave one ear open, you'll be able to hear the lawnmower outside and the dishwasher in the kitchen.
And that'll make you feel guilty for not doing the housework and making Charlotte do all of it. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, probably. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So there we are. Well, thanks for getting in touch via Twitter and hashtagging clammy ears. That's, I think, put that subject well and truly to bed.
Has it? Are you sure?
Well, yeah, what do I know?
I feel like there could be some more mileage in hashtag clammy ears.
You might be right.
Yeah, maybe we'll come up with another hashtag for the end of this podcast.
Yeah.
Are there any further tweets or messages from the Podsteron universe before we wrap this one up, Richard James?
No, I think that's just about it for now, but no doubt there will be many more in time for next week.
Yes, I do hope so. Well, that'll be Pod 163, which will be out, the Monday after 162, I guess. So we'll be back with you then, Podsteron, in your ears, if you'll allow us, whether that be one ear or both ears, dry or clammy. we'll look forward to being in them next week. Goodbye.
Yeah. See you then.
Stage 1 complete.
Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
Sorry. Oh dear. Made myself laugh because that was a bit weird. Yeah, is that the weirdest post credits request we've ever done? Do you think?
Clammy ears. Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we could probably get weirder if we tried.
I don't think we should try. To be quite
I don't think
honest.
we'd take much of our audience with us, would we? That's the trouble.
No.
Let's
not do it.
No, I don't think we would.
Anyway, so what? Anything exciting in the world of Richard James after this podcast?
Well, of course, it's I'm off on holiday because this was recorded a couple of weeks ago, and that's why we recorded it early, because by the time you hear this, I won't be around. No, actually, by the time you hear this, I would have just got back.
Yes.
So here's hoping I had a lovely time. And
I'm
here's
sure you
hoping
did.
that you all enjoyed Captain Scarlet Day.
Well, that is tomorrow, which will be 2 weeks before this.
Gosh.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Yeah, we're well ahead.
Is that right?
It's the
2
10th
weeks?
of July. Yeah, and this is out, 10 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Well, 9.
All right. Very,
You know,
yes,
you're gonna be
very
specific.
very accurate. Anyway, yes, I'm sure Captain Scarlet Day was brilliant and lovely.
Yeah, of course
and there
it
were
was.
some great
And I
cosplay things.
really enjoyed my cream teas and fish and chips on the beach. Thank you very much.
Nice. I'm really jealous now. Okay, we'll have one.
I brought some
have
back,
one-
actually.
Oh, did you?
Well,
hang
I
on.
will have done.
Yeah.
If I remember to have done.
I'm going to message you every day until you do.
Great. Switch his phone off.
Rude. Have a great holiday.
Bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Gerry Anderson Podcast. Wasn't it fun?
You have been listening to an Anderson Entertainment production.